Now to Abul Rizvi for his contribution from the floor.
Thanks, Andrew. From about 2015, Australia experienced, and most people are probably not aware of this, the biggest labour trafficking scam in our history, manipulating the asylum system to supply easily exploitable migrant labour. As a result, we now have around 100,000 people in the asylum system, the vast majority of whom will be refused protection but will not go home. We've also been expanding low-skill guest worker visas, particularly for farm labour. Due to appalling treatment, thousands of Pacific Island farm workers have run away from their employers. Thousands have applied for asylum to maintain their lawful status but are being refused. This is very similar to the situation in North America and Europe for the past 30 to 40 years, where there are millions of appallingly exploited migrant workers, some on visas, but many now undocumented after unsuccessfully applying for asylum. They live permanently in the shadows of society. In June and July this year, Australia received by far the highest level of offshore student visa applications than for any previous June or July in our history. We are headed towards the biggest surge in offshore student visa applications ever. Students may contribute more to population growth in 2022 than either permanent migration, and that includes the recently announced increase, permanent migration, or even natural increase. That is being driven by the fact that we offer the most generous student visa work rights of any comparable country. In the medium to long term, that could be a disaster for many students who may struggle to secure skilled jobs and a pathway to permanent residence. They will be stuck in immigration limbo, particularly if there's an economic downturn in 2023-24. They too will be vulnerable to exploitation and abuse. The government has said it does not want Australia to become a low-skill guest worker society. That is a noble ambition, but I'm afraid that train left the station 10 years ago. Like North America and Europe, we are now barrelling towards becoming a fully fledged low-skill guest worker society. And like North America and Europe, we have utterly failed to put in place adequate arrangements to protect those workers. For a proud migrant nation, we should be ashamed. We can and should strengthen laws and funding to address exploitation and abuse. But unless we give unions a strong formal role in protecting migrant workers, I can guarantee you we will fail. That is because only unions have the footprint and the capacity to gain trust of the workers to be able to provide adequate support and protection. Will this summit have the courage to recognise that?
Abul, thank you for that contribution, and your expertise in this discussion is just so greatly valued by everyone at the summit. And I just want to acknowledge what an amazing migrant story you have yourself, and if you haven't heard it before, go and talk to Abul offline. Joe, I just want to invite you to respond. You've done so much